Pep, well, a real setback, especially when you were so close to seeing it through. What do you think in the end cost you?
Yeah, one action and score a goal. So we had a lot of actions with 2 against 1. Yeah, we played a fantastic game, so for the result.
Did you particularly enjoy, or were you particularly pleased with the first 45 minutes?
90 minutes. For 95, we played so good all the game because it's normal second half. They make a step up. They were more aggressive. We got normally chances not like that, and they make a step up. It was more difficult. We have 2 actions in the beginning of the game because we lose easy balls with Tijani, with Mateus, but the rest we have chances in the right moments, to close the game. And at the end, we couldn't do it. And at the end, when 1-0, everything can happen with the quality that they have.
Did you feel, though, as the game wore on, and perhaps it's down to the intensity and the physicality of the schedule as much as anything, that the team started to suffer a little bit? You obviously lost a couple of players to injuries during the game.
Yeah, suffer for the injuries, yeah, but not the game. The game was not suffer.
How are the 2 players, Diaz and Guardiola?
It doesn't look good. We'll see next days.
Yeah, and you said before the game, the squad's really, we're suffering, we're in trouble, I think, with your words before the game.
Have a last season, and repeat the season again, yeah.
So does that feel like it's really been accentuated by what's happened today? Not just the players you've lost injured, but like the pressure on the rest of the players who are playing more and more minutes?
Yeah, it's where it is. It's where it is. Yeah, we knew it. When you have all the squad, you can compete and rotate, but now, it's a situation, but we'll have enough energy to get back.
Yeah. Do you worry, though, about the schedule ahead?
I cannot change it.
No.
The schedule is where it is.
Any chance of players back for Wednesday?
Right now, I don't know. I don't think so, but right now, I don't know. I didn't ask to the doctors yet.
Okay. Would it change transfer plans, potentially? Players in, players out? It feels like you need players in now.
No idea. No idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Bernardo, another draw. I imagine that is incredibly frustrating, a bit of a sucker punch.
Yeah, definitely, especially conceding in the last minutes. It's always a tough one to take. I think we deserved a bit better today, but at the end, football is all about details, and yeah, it is what it is.
What do you think City were missing out there today? Do you think that you had enough chances to kill that game off?
Yeah, I would say definitely that, killing the game, especially the first half. But even we had space to run, and we had chances to run in the second half because they were taking a bit more risks. And yeah, we lacked a bit that decision, the last pass, the finish, and yeah, we paid for it in the last minutes.
In terms of the title race, 6 points now behind Arsenal. Where do you think this leaves you in your title battle?
Well, in a more difficult position because 6 points, it's already something. But yeah, I've said it like a few weeks ago when we were 2 points behind them. We have to focus on ourselves. There's no point in looking at Arsenal or whoever if we don't do our job. So the last 2 games we didn't do our job. There's no point in looking at Arsenal. We need to focus on ourselves and win our games.
Quick turnaround, another game coming thick and fast midweek. How pivotal and crucial is it going to be to get 3 points from that one?
Yeah, after two draws, we definitely need to start winning games, and it's a good game against Brighton at home to try to do that. We'll rest, prepare that game, and try to go back to winning ways. We definitely need that.
These are City's last 8 Premier League results, and that ruthlessness we saw in that last run just halted a little bit in the last 2 back-to-back draws. Interesting to hear from Bernardo Silva saying no point looking at Arsenal if we don't do our job.
Yeah, definitely, because you look at that winning results, and arguably anyone in the league would want them results, but it isn't good enough to kind of emulate what Arsenal are doing. So it is frustrating, and it is worse, especially when you concede in the last minute. But yeah, as long as they try and get back onto winning ways in the next game. And again, it's going to be difficult because now they have to wait for, not only do they have to beat Arsenal, they have to wait for them to drop points elsewhere. So they've made the job more difficult. But if there's any team that can catch them and believe they can catch them, it'll be Man City. Yeah, he described the way in which they played and said that they just really struggled to find that final moment, the last pass or the final finish.
Well, I think he summed it up well. I think he was out there. The game did get stretched, and there's a team that when you're leading and you haven't put a team to the sword and get that second goal, then you're concerned, really, because it was too open. Chelsea had a lot of space, particularly down there, Chelsea's left side. They kept changing the ball out, and there was no midfield opposing for City, and they had far too much time to turn on the ball and get at the back four. So, it became open, and City didn't use the space as well as they did when they had a lack of space, funny enough, in the first half. So I think they let themselves down there a little bit. But I think what he's saying is absolutely right, and that's what Pep would be saying in the dressing room. We've got to now concern ourselves of getting back on the horse. Still not a bad run. They're unbeaten for so many games. Yeah. But the problem is 6 points now, it takes the pressure off Arsenal. They can afford to draw a couple. And when they play that pivotal game, when they play Arsenal at home, they needed to be sort of 2 points away, breathing down Arsenal's neck. Now, will they get into that position? That is the key to the whole winning of the Premier League, I feel. And Arsenal now, it's Arsenal's to lose.
Yeah, but also that game, they needed to go into that game and Arsenal feeling they can't afford to lose, which they can now. They can go into that game, lose that game and still be 3 points ahead. So that's the kind of pressure it's taken up Arsenal going forward.
Yeah, just wondering about your own experience having been in a position like this before with Manchester City. I mean, you both said that run, anyone would love to have that run, but I guess it also shows us the standards City have, the fact that they know what it takes to get it over the line, that they look so disappointed. They look as if they've lost. I know it was a late goal, but that is what the faces look like.
Yeah, definitely. It always feels like that, especially when it's late on. But from my experience, we were more points behind a team that had more experience than Arsenal, so it can be done. But again, Arsenal, you would rather be in Arsenal's position because you have the points on the board and you have the opportunity to go on and win the league. But if there's one team that can catch Arsenal, it will be City.
Yeah, and
it's also a time, sorry, Jules, it's also a time over Christmas and New Year. So many games are packed in. You know, they haven't lost a game. It isn't like they've lost one and drawn one and, you know, it's catastrophe. They'll go again. They've got a lot on their plate and obviously... that's where Pep, you know, Doku didn't play. We thought he might start, but there's a rest for him for some reason, and then he'll go again in the midweek. So you've got to, as a manager, you've got to rest players and have the energy right.
Yeah, they go again midweek against Brighton. Arsenal play Liverpool. Big ones to come. But for match week 20, from Glenn and from Jolien and myself, we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.
Guys, well played in difficult circumstances, Reece. How big a display of character was that?
No, I told you, you know, we had to, you know, accept what went on earlier on in the week and, you know, put it behind us. You know, we came here with a game plan. You know we can, what level we can perform at when we're, you know, all together and all firing. You know, the first half we made, you know, a slight error for their goal. But second half, you know, as the game went on, we grew into the game. You know, we knew a chance would come and, you know, this guy took his chance when it came.
And so you did take the chance. Just tell us, at the end of a difficult week, what that goal meant.
Yeah, difficult win for us. Difficult moment, but part of the life and the football. Today we are effort 100%. I'm happy for the team.
You mentioned the game plan in your first answer, Reece. Just tell us about that game plan, who came up with it, and how it seemed to evolve at half-time and then during the course of the second half.
No, I mean, it was, you know, first of all, credit to the, you know, the staff that stepped up. You know, they haven't been in this role before. You know, to come to City away, you know, as your first game, first team game, you know, is difficult. You know, we had to, you know, adapt fast. You know, the first half, you know, we felt they had too much of the ball. We had to make slight adjustments. You know, in the second half, we came out, you know, with a slightly different plan. And yeah, as the game went on, as I said, we grew into it.
Yeah, can you just tell us about the role of senior players? You spoke about your role before the game in terms of bringing the group together. I noticed that Cucurella, Caicedo, a couple of the other senior players who were out injured or suspended, those guys were on the bench as well. They travelled with the team, so that looked like a real display of unity from all of you.
Yeah, no, as I said, you know, we're in the difficult moment. You know, we have to stand together, you know, stand as a unit. You know, we are one. You know, there's many people that, you know, travelled today that, you know, we missed. But so many other players stepped up, and this is what we need. You know, we fought as a team today, and I'm proud of the boys.
How difficult is it when a manager leaves like that?
No, of course it's difficult, you know, but we have to fight for each other. You know, that's the only thing we have in this moment, together, you know, each other. And, you know, we dug in and, you know, got a point.
Enzo, could I ask you a question about the old manager as well? Because I saw you put something on your social media.
Sorry.
Just a question on Enzo Maresca. What he meant to you?
Yeah, of course. No. Difficult moment for us. Enzo is a top manager. Of course, I am sorry for him, but it's part of the football and the life. We keep it going and no more.
Reece, just lastly, do you know as a group what to expect next in terms of when the new manager comes in and when you'll get a chance to work with him?
No, we know nothing at the moment. This whole week was about this game. What happens, behind the scenes is not down to us. We came here, all focused on the game. We take a point at a really difficult place to come. And we have to recover. We play again in a few days, and we will see what happens in the coming days.
Okay, well played, both of you. Reece is the player of the match. Enzo, if you don't mind presenting the award.
Thank you, bro.
Keep it going.
So all the games are done over the course of the weekend as we welcome you back in for Goal Zone presented by Toyota. We will bring you every goal from every game today. There were 6 of them in total. Robbie Mustoe, Tim Howard, alongside myself, Rebecca Lowe. At half-time, Robbie, you were not best pleased with that Chelsea team. Feeling better now?
Yeah, and to be fair, they didn't unravel, which I thought they might. Maybe Reece James and a few others did get in amongst them. Second half was much better, as Graham said, much more on the front foot, trying to make things happen. But I tell you what, we just watched him for a minute. Callum McFarland made a big decision at half-time that changed the second half, or helped change it. Andre Santos on for Esteval. Santos plays alongside Reece James. We haven't got the painful watch of Enzo Fernandez trying to get back, Cole Palmer trying to get back to help out. Those two held it together, allowed those 2 players to go and press, and it was very different. For a rookie manager like that, to make that big call to bring off Esteval, this superstar Brazilian winger, for a holding midfield player, defensive type, when you're behind, was well done, changed it.
Fair play.
Yeah, fair play. I thought the lap change was good as well. He's someone who hasn't really sort of gotten up to speed yet with this Chelsea team, but he was good. He made a difference. He was a focal point for them, at least allowed them to get up the pitch, which we saw in the first half. Maybe the system changed, but João Pedro couldn't even get past midfield in the first half. So, yeah, good day for him. And
Tim, from a points point of view, Chelsea sitting 5th now, 3 points behind the top 4. Yeah. We don't yet know who the next manager is going to be. The favourite seems to be Liam Rosenior from Strasbourg, who's going to come apparently at the early stages of next week. If and when he comes, he wants to come into a team that is not tanking. Totally. I mean, the fact that they're picking up points there, they just need to be in and around it, and then get a manager in and get settled again. Top 4 is the aim. It's never been win a title this year, so I mean, it's still salvageable. Manchester City, were they complacent? Yeah, Graham so got it spot on, I thought. Just let Chelsea back into the game. Whether it was first half to go and really punish Chelsea's kind of sloppiness and lethargy really in the first half, they didn't do that. And second half, when Chelsea started a little better, I'm then expecting City come on, let's get the football going again. They never did. And this is big stakes. That's a big gap now behind Arsenal. That was a really important game and a very winnable game, given the Chelsea situation and the way that the visitors were so lacklustre in the first half. So they'll have regrets about that, Pep and his team, because that should not have got away from them. Big time. I mean, the final ball in the second half was so lackluster. I mean, these are world-class players. I mean, they can put the ball on a dime, right? And every time that final ball needed to get squared across, it got cut out. I mean, I can probably count 4 times in the second half where the ball that gets squared gets cut out. You're thinking, but that just needs to be a little bit more out in front. So it was lazy, it was lethargic. We saw that in the first half, though, as well. You expect City, with their football, to control the game. Get Chelsea running around, they're leading the match, but they didn't do that. Pep will be so angry because Pep demands that his teams really control the football with their possession, and their football recently has been really good. Today it wasn't. And fair play to Chelsea because they changed it and they were a little different, but still, wow, that was poor from City in the second half. In the second half, Tim, would Pep have sensed that Chelsea goal was coming? And if, just from all of his experience, and if so, could he have done anything to stop it? No, because I think he made the changes. He trusts his front players. Doku came on, he was lively, but he trusts his front players to make the right decisions and make the key pass, and they just didn't do it today. It wasn't necessarily at the back where they were stretched. And they didn't get it done. As you said, the football that has been good wasn't crisp and clean today. Okay. Just Rebecca, quickly, they lost the defenders, didn't they? Both centre-backs came out of the game. Mm-hmm. You know, Rodri had to play longer, maybe minutes than he wanted to. And I think, quite honestly, they thought they had the game wrapped up. It was a late goal, but that's a painful one. Let's go to the tunnel and...
Well, they created some chances in that second half, did Chelsea, and it was the final one that they took, just
about, right? You know, but it was one of those moments for them where this pass out here from Reece James gets him in that one-on-one action, and the little shift he gives there, and then the acceleration feeds it into the area, but it's that deflection there for me that makes the opportunity a clear-cut one. When you see it here, he's feeding it into that area. This is the best area to feed it into, but that deflection from Ake is what guides it towards Fernandes and gives them the opportunity. But the save from Donnarumma is absolutely magnificent. You're thinking, the goal's gaping, gets up, big hand, and thinks it against the post, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Open it, you're thinking, oh, definite goal here. And it's a cheeky little dink against the post. But they thoroughly deserved it because they worked so hard today and they didn't create much, but look at the elation on his face. So happy and overjoyed.
There's probably an element of relief there from him as well that it clipped the inside of the post. And, well, it was a heck of a save, wasn't it?
It was an amazing save. The way he stretched was brilliant, Donnarumma, but it wasn't enough. But just on that clip there, you know, Nico O'Reilly, the way he goes to the ball, take nothing away from Gusto, he goes right to the ball so quick, so then by the time Gusto takes a touch, if you just look there, he's sort of... If you're going to go that quick, you've got to take everything with you.
As in man and ball.
Man, ball, absolutely everything. But, yeah, here's the goal there. And fair play to Enzo. He always arrives in these positions here. His third man running is fantastic. But in terms of defensively, it's just Nico O'Reilly. He went and then he couldn't move. Go all the way if you're going to go. Otherwise, give yourself 3 or 4 yards where you can dictate where you want to go.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you say all the way, you mean go through the player.
If you're going to go that speed, you've got to go all the way through the player, take the ball, take the man.
Because by doing what he did, from your perspective, he gets caught what?
So yeah,
in no man's land a little bit.
So if I don't know if you can rewind that a little bit in terms of his positioning now. So roll it on slowly, and we pause it there. So now he's straight on. So now he's showing him outside. So if you're going to show him outside, you've got to be ready to go outside. And if you go on slowly, straight through, now he's square on. It can go the pass inside, the little dink over, and now he's in no man's land. And normally you can do that with someone who's not got pace, but that's why you have to give Gusto a lot of credit, because he's got the pace to do that and then put the delivery in as well.
Go on, sorry.
Is that then the body shape of the defensive? When you're approaching a player in that wing position, is it the body shape is pivotal for you to stop him?
It's footwork. You see, he goes with his left foot early, and he gambles, and he shouldn't gamble. And that's why I said, if you're going to gamble, you've got to go all the way, take the free kick. Played in Italy many years, and that's what it was taught to do. If you're going to go that fast, go on. And it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, you also had 2 centre-halves who'd actually come on as well, because, not to take anything away from the Chelsea goal, because both Diaz and Guardiola had gone off injured. Chelsea had 8 shots in that game. 7 of them came in the second half. So we're not going to show all of them. We're just going to show the Neto one. But the change worked. Yeah. Some changes worked, rather.
They did, and I think they came out with a new lease of life. You go into the dressing room and they're going to get the videos out. They're going to show you where you need to be. This is what we need to do to expose them, lads. The timing of the pass here is nice, but the feet from Enzo Fernandez to be able to do that in the box, and you're thinking, my man, my brother, you've got to hit the target there, my guy. You cannot be doing that. And you've got João Pedro at the back post thinking, one more, just one more. Give me a back heel, one more. I got an open net. And he did the wrong thing, clearly, over the bar.
Would you have scored that?
Me? I might have done a little back heel to João Pedro.
But the point of that and the 7 shots in the second half was, you know, when we talked about City not being ruthless, it wasn't as if they hadn't had warnings, you know, therefore we really need to go and kill this off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's down to the manager and the change at half-time. I think Chelsea was in the mode of, we've got nothing to lose, and they went a little bit higher up the pitch, and then I said with City, they always give you chances in that middle area. When you've got a Foden and a Shirky playing in them number 10 roles and it's all offensive, Rodri, who I thought was magnificent today, there's ease space either side of him as well. And Chelsea, Cole Palmer goes into the middle, starts getting into them half spaces, and it's difficult because Chelsea have the quality. What we talk about Chelsea, it's just now the consistency, and that comes with experienced players. And yeah, Chelsea fully deserve that in terms of the work rate and then the tactical switch from the manager. But also, Man City did have the chance, especially in that first half, to see out the game.
In his Chelsea team, he kind of echoed what you said there, Glenn. We knew a chance would come.
Yeah, they did. They grew in the game in the second half, and I think a lot of that was down to City, actually, the way they played. But you've got to give credit to Chelsea. I thought their subs worked, and I think the manager, for the day, if you like, Callum, should be patted on the back with the slight change. He allowed Enzo to go a little bit more further forward and play with a 3 in midfield and let him go a lot more attacking than he did in the first half. But he's done that for Chelsea. He'd done that many times against Paris Saint-Germain when they won the Club World Cup. They played in that position, and he closes people down in that position, but he actually gets into the box and does what he did in the end and gets the goal. So there's a lot of things. Delap did well, you know, so the shape was good, what they did at half-time, and then the individuals did well that went on from the bench. And that, from any manager, it doesn't matter if it's your first game or your 100th game, that's what you need from your bench. And I think the change at half-time, I think it was more an emphasis. We're going to go out there and play our football. We've defended well. They've gone 1-0 up. We haven't conceded the second, but it worked well defensively. You could see how they'd worked as a defensive unit. But when they had the ball first half, there was no cohesion. There was no real threat to the goal at City. So second half, you've got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, you described the goal already. Let's take a closer look at it. And Jolene, perhaps get your thoughts on what Chelsea do well and what City could have done better.
Well, Chelsea got the ball wide and created a 1v1 and did well, exceptionally well, runners off the ball. But from a City perspective, like Chelsea did in the first half, adapt to a back 5, a back 6 even. And could the first person engaging Gustavo, could that have been Daku rather than be so narrow? And then as soon as he's back past that first line of the defence, all of a sudden you're crossing it and everyone's running back towards their goal. So even if City do get the first touch, it's hard to defend because it's going towards your goal. And they've been slightly fortunate here with this outcome. But listen, you can't take nothing away from Chelsea.
I think that's the goal is an example of what I said earlier on, where City, they don't close games out. And that comes from their philosophy. That comes from the manager. They could have easily kept the back 4 intact in overtime. They've got, 6 or 7 minutes. Back 4, 2 fullbacks, don't you dare go over the halfway line. Wingers come back, and it would have been the winger that was going out to Gusto. So at the end of the day, they would have had cover in there. That's not the City way. But if you want to see a game out, because you could smell Chelsea were dangerous second half. They were always looking to be on the break, and they got themselves in some really good positions. So they could have closed the game out quite easily, City, and got the 3 points. And I think that's something that they have to sort of have a little look at.
Yeah, it is the first time since August that they failed to win in successive league matches. Manchester City, you could see the reaction on the face. You could see the disappointment on the faces of the players, even Pep. They were quite glum after. How damaging do you think this is?
Yeah, it's damaging. And it's always worse, especially when you concede in extra time, injury time. So it would feel a lot worse than probably it potentially is towards the end of the season. But they'll know Arsenal winning yesterday, they needed to keep momentum going and use this opportunity to get closer and not consider the Sunderland result a negative. But now 2 back-to-back draws isn't great. But there's still opportunities to claw some points back. They'll have to now gain a level of confidence and momentum that they can't afford to drop points again before Arsenal do.
Yeah, and you both said it at half-time, the fact that, it is only 1-0, they need to get a second goal pretty soon. When you consider how dominant they were, just looking at some of the numbers during that interview, in every single metric, City dominated this game, except for where it really counted.
Yeah, I think second half was a strange performance for me. Normally, they weren't the normal City that were really penning Chelsea in, and Chelsea couldn't get out, and the ball was coming back again. They were far too open, and it looked like a team that was, can I say, like 3-0 up. And they were 3-0 up, and they were just keeping the ball, waiting to get that 4th goal. It looked like a team that thought, but no, it was 1-0, and Chelsea were growing in the game. And nobody really sensed that danger in many ways. And I wasn't surprised when Chelsea scored, to be honest. So I think there's some learning curves there for City. If they're going to be consistent, which they have been on this run, there is a time that everyone wants to see creative football, but there's a time to tuck the belt in and become really tight for 6 minutes, and they win that game. And that's the difference, maybe, of putting the pressure on. Now, Arsenal, you've released the pressure a little bit on Arsenal. They can afford to drop a few points here and there, and they're still going to be in pole position.
Was late drama at the Etihad Stadium, and it was Chelsea that managed to get a goal that sees them head back. Manchester City, a goal to the good against Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium in the first half. It did take a little while for the goal to come, considering how much possession and opportunity City had, but Tijani Reinders eventually put them ahead.
Yeah, great finish. He scored important goals recently for the team, so not more so than today, and capitalised on a slight mistake from Chelsea, and then, as they've done consistently throughout the half, played forward with a bit of pace, a bit of tempo, and when they've done that, it's caused problems for Chelsea. And when he finds himself 1v1, Chelsea back four is in disarray, and it's a great finish.
That's a terrific goal, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, they win the ball in that middle third. Chelsea couldn't get themselves organised. And you see Neto ends up on that right-hand side there, trying to get back. But Reinders, we thought he was going to pass to Foden, didn't we, Jolien? But he could have set... But he goes on the outside, and there's a slight little touch here. I don't know whether the keeper can save that from there. I know he's hit it firmly. That little touch might have just took it away from the keeper. I think the keeper might have got his hand to it right, but I think there's a slight deflection. But, you know, City have deserved their lead. You've got to say they've been the better team by far, and slowly but surely started to just break them down. Chelsea for half an hour didn't do bad defensively, but you could sense a goal was coming.
Yeah, it's actually the fact that they had Chelsea pinned back in their own half for much of that first 45. And when we look at this Phil Foden opportunity, something you picked up perhaps about the way City are building up on the left.
Yeah, it seems to be their focus on the way they're going down there. It's causing problems. We questioned it. It's probably lopsided for Man City, but an opportunity, great touch from Phil Foden. I think the touch makes the opportunity there. And then again, they've set up a trap, nullified Chelsea from getting forward, and again broke forward very quickly. And once they do that, they probably should do better with these chances. It's a great save from a deflection, but overall probably should do a little bit better.
Yeah, this is again, they win the ball in a really aggressive position, and this is a wonderful bit. Look, just changes the angle, and he hits it so early. I'm sure when it left his foot, he's thinking, oh, what celebration shall I do? And it hits the post, probably too much power. If it's got a little bit more of a curl, it hits the post and goes in from that angle. But terrific play. Again, Haaland doesn't have to be in the game, does he? That many times, doesn't have to be in that many moments, but he's almost scored 2 goals, and with what, I don't know, 20 touches maybe maximum.
Yeah, and all of those before the actual goal, which kind of goes to what you were saying, that the goal was coming. Let's look at from a Chelsea perspective, though, and the way that they have set up today, especially the role of Esteval.
Yeah, Esteval has had to sort of play in the right wing-back area at the start of the game because they push the full-back on that side. So Riley goes forward there. Look at him, he's right in advance. And Esteval is having to be pushed back. Núñez is holding on the other side, so they haven't got to do that. So the young man's had to try and get back in that wing-back position. It's not natural for him. Here he is again. And because O'Reilly's gone in that position and they're going to play from there. That's why Jolien and I were saying everything's coming down the left-hand side for City. And in the end, strangely enough, they have to change it because in the end, he's not a wing-back. I felt sorry for him. He wants to be at the other end of the pitch. And they put Neto over there on this side. And again, he's not really natural, but he's more experienced at playing that position. And they've got man for man as well, Jolien, in that central position.
I think, and the fullback, Ajapong and Neto, whoever it is out wide, they're having to stay with the runners. And I think it's probably due to lack of experience of playing together. And it's causing more problems than they would have anticipated.
Yeah, this is what Chelsea look like when they are out of possession. How would you describe that? What are your thoughts on it?
Deep. And we were saying maybe they should take a chance and leave the striker or the highest forward player a little bit higher and cause Man City a problem because at the moment they're able to sustain the attacks because they're so compact, Chelsea, and it's allowing Man City to get even higher.
Manchester City, as it stands, up to second in the Premier League. They would return. There are still 45 minutes left to go, but it's been a very dominant display from Pep Guardiola's side. Chelsea have had just one shot in that first half.
Manchester City lead by 1-0 at the break, although with about 4 minutes of that half left. I thought it was something to do with you two, because you had 3 0-0s on New Year's Day, didn't you?
Couldn't have another one.
No, well, we haven't. And you spotted earlier, actually, didn't you, that there was that inside left channel from Manchester City's perspective that they might be able to exploit.
Yes, indeed. You know, for me, you could spot it early on that there was that corridor of uncertainty in between the fullback and the... They got a bit of luck here, but the way he manipulates the ball and gets half a yard is top draw. Top draw. You know, he made a penetrative run through the centre, tried to intercept it, but it's that extra touch there, just gets you a yard and no backlift with it. Boom, straight in the back of the net.
Exactly what you're saying there. It was Esteban who was playing there, and then he slipped with Neto. They see Neto's position there, and he's running back instead of already being there. Esteban was too deep in that first half, then they switched him to try and get out, but Reinders then scores the goal.
It was, his runs that were probably causing the most problems. And in the main, Chelsea had looked fairly comfortable, hadn't they? I mean, Manchester City waited until the 20th minute for their first opportunity.
Yeah, but, I mean, City, this is what they do, they grind it down. Again, Chelsea out of shape there. And this touch from Phil Foden is just exquisite. He just needed the finish to match. But that run, like you mentioned, from Reinders, excellent. Again, Man City taking the opportunity through the lines this time. Haaland doesn't catch it cleanly. His next one is the best one, and the best has storage for this, but that touch there and then the whip is just brilliant.
The way he does that there, just half a yard again, 2 touches before he takes the shot, not messing about. Brilliant stuff from him. City have been really good. They've been controlled. I think the first 20 minutes, Chelsea were really good defensively, pressing forward and being dedicated to the task, but you can't do that for the full half, you know, because you got to have the energy to attack as well. And you could see they were getting a little bit leggy. The gaps were appearing, and Manchester City were exposing them a little bit.
And now, from a Chelsea perspective, it is how they respond to going a goal down, isn't it? I mean, it's the obvious thing to say.
Yeah, and you got to open up, haven't you? That's the issue. Once you have that framework defensively, but then it's about now creating your own chances, and they've struggled to do that in the first half, but they've got to go again.
Yeah, I would just say it's more of keep the shape. You know, Man City are going to be nice and high, and then it's just that counter-attack. But once you get that counter-attack, you've got to take your chance, otherwise Man City will